Have you ever found yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 o'clock in the morning, the silence of your bedroom heavy with a quiet, persistent anxiety that you can't quite shake? You lie there calculating numbers in your head, running through the endless list of tasks waiting for you at a job that drains your spirit, and you ask yourself a question that feels almost dangerous to utter out loud. Is this really it? Is this the trade we all agreed to make? Sacrificing the vibrant, energetic years of our youth for a promise of rest that we might only get to enjoy when our bodies are tired and our knees are worn. It is a heavy realization to carry, and if you're feeling this weight right now, I want you to take a deep breath and realize that you are not alone. And more importantly, you're not failing. The system we were handed was built for a different era, a time when a lifetime of loyalty was rewarded with a predictable gold watch and a reliable pension. But today, that promise has evaporated, leaving us running on an accelerating treadmill of survival, wondering why we are exhausted before the race has even truly begun. The truth is, most of us have been taught to look at financial freedom through a deeply flawed lens, a black and white perspective that forces us into two extreme and equally painful camps. On one side, we have the traditional corporate grind, where we are told to put our heads down, endure the chronic stress, and save a modest 10% of our income for 45 years in the hope that we will finally have enough to stop working when we are 65 or 70. On the other side, we have the modern alternative, the hyper-frugal, high-intensity push where you're told to live in a near-monastic state of deprivation, eating nothing but beans and rice, working 3 side hustles and saving 80% of your income just so you can escape the machine in your late 30s. Both of these paths treat life as a transaction where happiness is always delayed, always sitting on the other side of a massive, distant mountain of cash. But what if the struggle you're feeling right now isn't because you lack discipline or ambition, but because you're trying to solve a deeply human problem with an outdated mechanical formula? What if there is a third way, a strategy that doesn't require you to sacrifice your present happiness for a distant future, nor your future security for a fleeting moment of relief? Let me tell you about Maya and Leo, two people who started their careers in the exact same office, sitting at identical desks, earning the same salary, and carrying the same quiet exhaustion home with them every single evening. Maya decided to follow the traditional high-intensity playbook to the letter, believing with absolute certainty that the only way to find peace was to build an impenetrable fortress of wealth as quickly as possible. She decided her magic number was $2 million, and she threw her entire existence into reaching that finish line, working 60-hour weeks, taking on stressful promotions she didn't want, and systematically cutting out every expense that brought color to her life. She stopped meeting her friends for dinner, skipped family weekend trips to work on slide decks, and treated every dollar spent as a personal failure, convinced that once she hit that golden number, she could finally start living. Leo, on the other hand, sat at his desk and realized that his youth was a non-renewable resource, one that was slipping through his fingers with every late-night email he answered. Leo didn't want to wait 20 years to breathe, so he decided to take a completely different path, one that centered around a quiet, elegant financial mechanism that businesses have used for centuries, but that individuals rarely apply to their own lives, the concept of the float. To understand why Maya's path became a psychological prison and how Leo found his escape, we have to look closely at what the float actually is and how it challenges everything we've been told about saving. In the business world, the float is simply the money that temporarily sits in your possession between the time you receive it and the time you have to pay it out, allowing you to use that capital to generate value in the meantime. But when we apply this to personal freedom, the float becomes something far more beautiful. It is the art of building a modest, highly concentrated engine of compound interest early in your life, and then intentionally stepping down your active career to a low-stress, highly flexible lifestyle where you only earn enough to cover your basic day-to-day living expenses. Instead of grinding yourself to dust trying to save a massive lump sum that can fund your entire life forever, you build a small, solid foundation and then you float on top of it. You transition to work that you actually enjoy, work that pays your rent and buys your groceries but leaves your soul intact, while that initial foundation sits quietly in the background, compounding and growing year after year without you ever needing to add another dollar to it. Let us look at the simple, comforting math of how this actually worked out for Leo, and why it took the immense pressure off his shoulders. Leo spent his first 5 working years living comfortably but mindfully, focused solely on building a starter engine of $100,000 in a diversified low-cost index fund, a goal that felt realistic and manageable rather than overwhelming. Once he hit that milestone, instead of continuing the grueling climb up the corporate ladder like Maya, Leo chose to step off the ladder entirely. He negotiated a transition to a 3-day-a-week consulting role, and later, a creative part-time position at a local design studio that aligned with his childhood passions. This new lifestyle paid him just enough to cover his rent, his groceries, and his occasional weekend trips with friends, meaning his savings rate dropped to absolute zero. To the traditional financial advisor, Leo had committed career suicide. But in reality, Leo was riding the float. Because he wasn't touching his original $100,000 and because he didn't need to draw down from it to survive, that money was left entirely alone to do what money does best when given the gift of time. It grew. At a historic average stock market return of around 8% per year, a single investment of $100,000 left completely untouched doubles roughly every 9 years. By the time Leo reached his mid-40s, after 15 years of living a spacious, peaceful life where he never missed a sunset, slept 8 hours a night, and actually enjoyed his part-time work, his quiet little engine had grown to over $320,000. By his mid-50s, without him ever saving another single penny from his paycheck, that initial investment had doubled again, swelling to nearly $700,000, while Leo was out hiking on Tuesday afternoons, cooking slow dinners with his family, and pursuing hobbies that brought him genuine joy. His money was working a double shift in the dark, building his ultimate retirement fund, while he simply floated his daily expenses. Leo didn't need to wait until he was 65 to experience freedom. He had designed a life where freedom was a daily reality woven into the very fabric of his ordinary week. If this perspective of finding balance and reclaimed time is starting to resonate with you, if you're beginning to see that you do not have to choose between burnout and insecurity, I would love for you to take a brief moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing your own thoughts on what a lighter, more spacious life would look like for you. Sharing your thoughts and engaging with this message helps the algorithms understand that there is a deep, quiet community of people who are tired of the hustle culture, allowing this video to reach someone else who might be sitting in their car right now feeling overwhelmed by the weight of their career, needing to know that there is a gentler way forward. Now, contrast Leo's peaceful journey with what happened to Maya during those exact same 15 years. Maya achieved her goals on paper. She received the promotions. Her salary climbed into the multiple six figures, and her investment accounts grew rapidly as she poured every spare dollar into them. But the cost of that growth was written all over her life. Her blood pressure climbed. She developed chronic lower back pain from sitting at her desk for 12 hours a day. And the relationship she assumed would wait for her had slowly drifted away. Even worse, as Maya's income grew, her lifestyle quietly expanded with it. She bought a larger house to relieve the stress of her long hours, a more expensive car to make her commute bearable, and spent thousands on convenience services just to keep her chaotic life from falling apart. Her magic number of $2 million kept moving further out of reach because her cost of living had risen, and her fear of losing her high-paying job became an ever-present shadow, trapping her in a cycle of golden handcuffs where she was wealthier on paper but more captive in reality than she had ever been. This is the profound turning point where we have to connect money to psychology, realizing that true wealth is never about the size of your bank account, but about the quality of your attention and the sovereignty you have over your time. When you understand the float, your relationship with work changes from a desperate scramble for survival into a conscious, peaceful collaboration. You stop viewing your career as an identity that defines your worth, and you start seeing it as a utility that funds your existence while your assets compound quietly in the background. This mindset shift frees you from the chronic panic of the corporate ladder because you realize you do not need to win the rat race. You just need to exit the track and walk at your own pace. You begin to understand that having a modest sum of money compounding early, combined with a low-stress lifestyle, is infinitely more valuable than having a massive sum of money later in life after you have already spent your health and your capacity for joy to get it. To apply this playbook to your own life, you do not need to make radical, disruptive changes tomorrow, nor do you need to embrace extreme lifestyle choices that make you miserable. The path of the float is realistic, patient, and deeply personal, starting simply with an honest assessment of what your baseline cost of living actually is when you strip away the expensive coping mechanisms of a high-stress job. Once you identify that number, your first goal is simply to build your starter engine, a modest cash cushion, and a starter investment account that can act as your compounding foundation. whether that is 50,000, 100,000, or whatever number feels achievable for you over a few years of focused, calm saving. Once that engine is built, the magic of the float begins as you start to actively look for ways to transition your work, whether that means moving to a 4-day work week, stepping down to a lower-level position with fewer responsibilities, starting a small, low-stress freelancing business, or taking a job in an industry you love that pays less but offers complete peace of mind. By choosing to live off what you earn day to day while letting your early savings grow untouched, you're essentially buying your freedom in installments rather than trying to purchase it all at once at the very end of your life. You are giving yourself permission to live a life of moderate work and high leisure during your 30s, 40s, and 50s, confident in the knowledge that your future self is fully taken care of by the quiet math of compound interest. It is a path that honors the reality of our limited time on this earth, recognizing that the goal of financial independence was never to stop working entirely, but to have complete control over why, how, and with whom we spend our energy. You do not have to burn yourself out to prove your worth, and you do not have to live in fear of the future. You simply have to build your foundation, step back, and let the quiet power of the float carry you home.